Welcome into the Sports Executive Podcast. We continue on with our 50 Pirates in 50 days. And as you see there on the top right of the screen, very excited right now to be joined by former East Carolina defensive back from 2008 to 2012, Leonard Paulk. Leonard, welcome to the show.
It's a blessing to be here, be able to talk to you guys in Pirate Nation.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to have you on. Of course, your career spanned the Skip Holtz and Ruffin McNeil eras. And your first 2 years in the program, the Pirates won, of course, those back-to-back Conference USA titles. I know one of those years, the very first year in 2008, you were red-shirted, but certainly a lot of success early on, and then that continued throughout your career. So let's just go back to, I guess, 2007 or so. You were coming out of Columbia, South Carolina. I think it was Richfield Northeast High School. Is that right?
Richland Northeast, yes, sir.
Richland Northeast. So just talk about your recruitment. Of course, Coach Holtz had been at South Carolina for several years on his dad's staff, and then he had been at East Carolina since 2005. And I know your brother played at South Carolina. So was that a relationship with Coach Holtz, and maybe he went back that far?
Yes, sir. Actually, my brother, I played with him for 3 years. On Richland Northeast. We actually went to state championship my sophomore year. And then my brother, his first scholarship, Rodney Paulk's first scholarship came from East Carolina. We actually came down for a visit, offered him a scholarship, but he went on to play for South Carolina. And the summer before my senior year, I went down to ECU for a camp, and Rick Smith offered me at that camp. So I was able to come down to Greenville and learn how the atmosphere was and learn from Rick Smith. And he offered me that day and actually committed September 11, 2007. To ECU.
Who else were you recruited by? What other offers did you have, Leonard?
I had South Carolina State. South Carolina wanted me to come as a preferred walk-on, and then Kentucky offered late.
Okay.
So you mentioned Coach Rick Smith. We were talking about Coach Smith a little bit pre-show, how much we think of him. One thing's for sure, Coach Smith is certainly a straight shooter, as you can attest to. So just talk about Coach Smith once you got on campus there in 2008 and the way he was working with you guys in the defensive back room.
I mean, Coach Rick Smith, like you said, is a straight shooter. He's not going to beat around the bush with anything. He lets you know he's a Christian. He comes in. He lets you know what he's expected. He actually has some other players on the team who actually took me under his wing and is actually able to teach me what his system or how he wanted to play. His number one rule was you don't get beat deep. If you want to play, you don't get beat deep. So I learned a lot from Rick Smith, like I say, a straight shooter, and he lets you know his expectations up front. So it was a blessing to be able to learn a lot from him, especially going further in my career.
What did you talking about guys taking you under your wing? I guess you were kind of there mostly at the same time, but what were your thoughts on Emmanuel Davis?
Great guy. I learned a lot from him and Travis Simmons. They taught me a lot, pretty much how to see the game from a different lens. Don't rush the game. Let it come to you. So being able to learn from All-American like Emmanuel Davis and Travis Simmons, it was a blessing. And not a lot of people have those teams in front of you, So I was actually able to sit back and learn from them and be in the film room and see what they see, especially as a young guy. So
I thought Emmanuel was just amazing in zone coverage. I mean, if he could have just played zone his whole career, man, the amount of interceptions I think he would have set records.
Oh, yeah. Quick like a cat. He's able to react right when the ball is thrown, So he's a great guy.
And Kyle, actually, Leonard and I, before you joined us during the pre-show, we were talking about Emmanuel, and Emmanuel's agreed to come on. So we'll hopefully be talking to him soon. Of course, 3-time All-Conference USA guy, had a tremendous career up in the CFL with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, among others. So look forward to talking to him. And like you said, you certainly were learning from a very good one. And so just talk about those early years. And I know you had the opportunity, even though you weren't playing in the defensive backfield very much, you were a standout on special teams and making a lot of tackles for the Pirates on kickoff and so forth.
So pretty much when you first get to campus, if you redshirted like I was my first year, they put you on scout team. So I wasn't able to play in actual games, but I was able to make my practices my games, being able to capitalize on my opportunity. Many people count the reps, but I learned to make my reps count. Being able to go against the offense on scout team, I was able to be the scout team player of the year my redshirt freshman year and be able to learn how they work and how they move, because a lot of upperclassmen, they don't talk to freshmen if you're playing around. Be able to It went a long way. Also, being able to learn from the other defensive backs who are playing. You're not playing the games. You watch, react to film, how to see things. When your turn comes up, you know how to. Year, being able to play for them as well, mainly.
Leonard, you're cutting in and out on us big time.
My risk counts whenever I get an opportunity to play.
Leonard, can you hear us okay?
I think you're on mute, but
okay. Yeah, I was a moment ago. Now I'm unmuted. Can you hear me, or Kyle say something?
Leonard, you were cutting in and out on our end. Can you hear us okay? Uh-oh, Bubba.
Yeah, coming in choppy right now.
Okay. Good old technology.
Yeah. Leonard, try signing out. Try signing out and back in right quick.
All right.
I don't know. It had been fine up to this point. So,
yeah.
Viewers, we apologize. Obviously, you're witnessing the technical difficulties that we're experiencing right now. Had no issue in the first 10 minutes during the pre-show, and hopefully now, as we're adding Leonard back in, can you hear us okay now, Leonard?
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Those 2 or 3 thoughts you had, and I think Kyle was going to ask you to repeat those if you would, please, because they were breaking up and we couldn't make any of it out.
I still don't think we're connected here. Leonard, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. Can you hear us?
Good.
Oh, Lord.
I'm alone.
As fate would have it, perfect for the pre-show, and I could tell it's on his end. Did you see his connection? Besides the fact that he dropped us right there, even when he was on there,
yeah,
it was blurry. There we go. Leonard, can you hear us now?
Yes, sir.
Leonard, are you on your laptop or what device are you using?
I'm on a laptop right now.
Okay. It looks like we got a good connection now with just a little lag. We can deal with that. Can you repeat?
I'm gonna log in from my phone. Maybe that goes better.
I think we're good now, Leonard. We just have a little. So, Bubba, how are you?
And then he disappeared into the night.
Yeah, he's going to go log in on his phone, everybody, so maybe we'll get a better connection with that. But actually, all right then, just with a little lag, we can deal with that. We've dealt with that in the past.
Yeah. And viewers, while we're waiting on Leonard to rejoin us, earlier today, the MEAC, of course, the Pirates are playing or were scheduled to play Norfolk State on September 19th, but that will no longer take place due to the MEAC's decision to not play football this fall. And with that being the case, and the Pirates are looking for a game, I know App State was unable to play Wisconsin because the Big Ten, of course, went to a conference-only schedule, and they're available should John Gilbert decide to go that route. I think Old Dominion is as well. It looks like Leonard has rejoined us. Leonard, can you hear us better now?
Yes, sir, I can. Use it from my phone.
All right, very good. Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was going to, Leonard, just if you can remember what you just said a few minutes ago, can you repeat those thoughts?
Yes, sir. Like I said, my first year coming on the campus, no, I wasn't able to play, but I redshirted. And to be able to prove yourself, I was able to make practices my games. Being able to be on scout team, going against the #1 offense, being able to not count my reps, but make my reps count. So, and then be able to learn from people like Travis Simmons and Emmanuel Davis and Van Estrus going forward. I'm able to see things from a different light and capitalize on my opportunities I was able to get. I was also able my freshman year, be able to be scout team player of the year because of my work ethic during practice, things like that, being able to capitalize on my opportunities. Then when my second year came, I was still playing behind All-Americans, Travis Simmons and Emmanuel Davis. So I pretty much played on special teams. But when we were up in big games, I was able to get some reps and be able to make my reps count. So I think God for those players in front of me be able to teach me the ropes going forward.
What was it like being a part of 2 back-to-back conference championships in 08 on the scout team? But I mean, like you said, you were scout team player of the year, and that's important, man. You're getting them ready every week, and then 2009, you were actually able to get playing time special teams and other opportunities. So, what was it like being a part of 2 conference championships?
It was a blessing being able to bring something to Greenville, especially our first year, beating, I think it was Tulsa, down there at Tulsa, being able to beat them and bring that back to Greenville, watching the city erupt. And the number one thing that I learned going into my second year at the conference championship was we wasn't trying to go back to back. Our main goal was to win another one. Many people, when they're defending the title, they're pretty much taking all the blows. But we was actually mentality of going forward, we're going to get another one. So having that mentality going forward and not, playing around, but knowing our objectives that the seniors ahead of us laid the foundation for us to do, it was a blessing.
Yeah, that's exactly right, too, because it ain't like in boxing or something like that where you have the belt and you can try to get by and win on points. You got to go win another one. You're not the defending champion. You're trying to win another championship. It's brand new. So that's definitely the right mentality.
Yes, sir.
Leonard, we have some of your friends and family chiming in here. Love you, Leonard Paulk. You're definitely our champ.
Thank you, Miss Sonia.
So what was it like? I don't know if Bubba wants to touch on anything else from the 08-09 seasons, but what was it like transitioning in from Coach Holtz's staff to Coach Ruff and his staff?
It was a good transition. I believe Coach Ruff had a business mentality going forward, which was, being able to learn his system. But when Coach Ruff came in, it was more of a family mentality, being able to looking out for everybody and being able to, go with him with personal problems that you do have and be able to open up and talk to us in a different way. But being able to learn from 2 dynamic head coaches like that with 2 different styles made me the person I am today.
We also have Kiana Paulk chiming in.
Hey, Miss Kiana. That was my brother's wife, my little brother's wife.
But yeah, and that's what Kyle talked about, that transition to Coach Ruff. Obviously, and during those years, that also meant a new position coach and defense coordinator for you. So talk about that more from the defensive side of the ball.
Like I've learned, it's only gonna be a pass or a run. So be able to learn different styles. It was hard at first, being able to having 2 years learning one system and then having to retrain your body and retrain your mind to learn a whole different system. But if you want to play, you do it quickly. That's why I really had to learn and adapt that I wanted to play. So I had to, instead of spending my time out hanging out with friends, I had to dedicate myself to that playbook to be able to learn to produce on the field.
So in that 2011 season, the Pirates, of course, in 2010, Ruff's first year, we suffered a bad loss to Navy at home, but you guys went up to Annapolis the following year. Dominique Davis lit the world on fire that day, completing 28 for 28 in the first half, something ridiculous like that, set an NCAA record. And then I know one of the photos I used to promote this podcast was the one of you on the field after the game with the saber in your hand, running over maybe to the band or something. Yeah, so just talk about your tremendous memories of that day in Annapolis and some other excellent memories you have from your Pirate career, be it a favorite game or just favorite plays, what have you.
Going to that year, I had to go back to the previous year. It was embarrassing for the team. It was embarrassing for the city of Greenville, Pirate Nation, to have Navy do what they did to us. Yes, we had new coaching staff, but that doesn't matter. When you're in between those lines, you play the game. So it was embarrassing, and we felt like we had to play with a chip on our shoulder to regain, our confidence back. And that's what we did when we went up there to Annapolis and played against Navy. We had to play, it was very disrespectful what they did to us. I think they have the NCAA rushing record or something against us, and it was just pathetic. It was sad. And I was a part of that because I was on the team as well. So we made sure the next year going forward that we had to take the time to study. Okay, look what happened last year and learn from our mistakes going forward. So when we actually won that game, it was a big blessing because Navy runs a different type of offense you don't see everywhere. And be able to learn how to get off those chop blocks and make plays, you got to do that stuff to win.
In the second half of that game, Leonard, y'all did a good job against triple option, but all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they started throwing bombs. And we didn't really adjust very well anyway. Talk about that. I mean, I all week getting ready and doing a good job stopping the triple option, then all of a sudden they want to start going deep on us. How did that affect y'all mentally?
It did. It affected us a lot because the previous year they didn't throw the ball at all. We knew they had pass plays in their package, but we knew they was run heavy, and that's what we pretty much practiced for. We threw a play in every now and then, but we knew they was going to be run heavy. So when we started stopping that, we knew they was going to throw, but we were still trying to, especially being defensive back, they chop like crazy. So you try to protect your legs, and or when they fake a chop, they keep going straight. So you got to learn to adjust. And when you start backing up, play the pass, they start running on you more. So it's pretty much a lesson that we had to learn on the fly, especially if you wanted to win.
What went through your mind when the field goal was no good?
Lord, please, please. This is one time. Just help us out. So, but he came through and looked out for us.
Yeah, I met you guys. That's the last time, actually, I've gone to the airport after a game. You guys flew back into Kinston that day, and I met you guys at the airport. I was so damn jacked up. Y'all won that game because of what happened in 2010.
Oh, yeah. It was a blessing.
Leonard, we have your parents chiming in.
Hey, Mom, how you doing? I love you too.
And then also, so she says, Leonard Paulk, what would you tell your younger self prior to your ECU days if you could have that conversation?
That's a good question.
Thank you, Miss Sonia. I would tell my younger self to be patient. Many times going through life when I was younger, I try to rush things, try to hurry up and finish, and but take your time, live life, enjoy life. Because like you say, life goes by fast. I look back at it now. I graduated in 12, and I'm already gonna be out. Hey, I'm already at 8 years. So I tell young kids nowadays, enjoy the process, because when it's gone, it's gone. And now, nowadays, I have a daughter now, got married, have my son on the way in September. I look forward to it, but I learned to slow down and enjoy the process.
Leonard, one of my favorite memories of Coach Ruff, and when I really realized, I thought Coach Ruff and the staff were doing a pretty good job. But when I really realized, hey, Coach Ruff and these guys really know what they're doing, and we're going to be good for a while, was actually goes back to Navy. 2012, Navy comes into Greenville and does it to us again. Not as bad as what happened in 2010, but they beat us pretty handedly. The very next week, we took on a pretty good Houston team, and you guys were ready to go. You were focused. You didn't have a hangover, and you beat the snot out of Houston that day.
Yes. I think we was pretty much living on last year's hype. Because the first year they came down here and beat us, it was unexpected. We ain't played offense like that. We took that one on the chin. The second year, we had a lot of proof. The third year, we know what we're doing now. We pretty much got big-headed, and that's what big-headed. When you underestimate people, they always going to come out with a fire because they felt them bears. So they had to come out here and prove a point as well. But then, like I said, you get back, regroup. Hey, look, stop reading the newspaper, stop reading the headlines. You just need to play football. There's a reason why we're here is to play football. Not to read the papers, but to play football. So we had to get back to the basics.
And I don't think Bubba is that right? Starting with that Houston game, did we lose another game that year until the bowl game?
No, because we were 5-4, I think, and then we won that Houston game, started a 3-game win streak to close the year. Yeah. Prior to the bowl game against the Raging Cajuns. But no, Leonard, we already talked about Emmanuel Davis. You also played with guys like Adonis Armstrong, Chip Dobson, Damon Magazoo, a young Josh Hawkins who's still playing with the Atlanta Falcons. I know you're excited about that and following his career. But just talk about some of those guys you had the opportunity to play with, because you talked to so many former players, and it doesn't obviously have to be the same position, but the camaraderie and just, those relationships that you have day in, day out on campus, in the locker room, on the practice field, et cetera. Those are the things that you really miss about it.
Well, I'll start with Josh Hawkins. I'm proud of him. I believe my senior year, my first day at camp, I broke my kneecap. So the whole time of camp, and I missed the first game of the season versus App State, I was in a straight leg cast. But Josh Hawkins carried the torch. He didn't miss a beat. He was able to step in, and he did a phenomenal job. I believe the second game of the year, my senior year, was against South Carolina, and they knew it was a homecoming for me, so I actually played that game. And Josh Hawkins sat down that game, but when I was out, he stepped up and carried the torch, and I'm actually proud of him because I actually see him develop from his freshman year on campus to the NFL star that he is now playing for Atlanta Falcons. I'm just proud of him. You know, it's very good to look back and see somebody who actually go further than you are, because like I said, all I can do is go so far, especially playing defensive back with a knee injury in NFL. You hardly ever see that, but to see him stay healthy, break records at ECU, and do phenomenal things in NFL was wonderful. Magazoo, field general. I remember distinctly the interception he had versus Russell Wilson, NC State. You know, he's able, because his dad was the NFL coach, see things differently. No, he wasn't the fastest. No, he wasn't the strongest, but he was the smartest. He was able to be in positions to make plays. So playing with him, Adonis Armstrong, Chip Thompson coming down from it was in Mississippi Junior College. They came together. They came with a different fire and passion. You know, it's good to have multiple defensive backs in a room who at any moment in time can step up and play. Because we always learn from either from Skip Holtz or from McNeil. You're only one play away from going in. You know, so pretty much don't count your reps. You make your reps count, because you never know when your last play might be your last. So I played with a lot. Travis Simmons told me a lot when I was down there. Jacoby Jenkins played opposite of me my senior year. It's crazy because my freshman class coming in, I believe it was like 17, 18. And when it finished, the class that came with me was 3. Me, Jacoby Jenkins, and Andrew Bodenheimer. So I was able to go with them, and Jacoby switched from offense to defense. You know, he's my brother on the other side playing the field corner. So it was a blessing being able to learn from a lot of guys, see a lot of guys after I finished playing, continue to carry the torch. I believe the next year, 2013, they won 10 games in a row. They got black jerseys. Justin Hardy went off 10 games in a row. So it was a blessing being able to look back and see the foundation that we built, that they continue to take going forward.
Yeah, 10-win season to 13, and the return of Brick Smith.
Oh yeah.
What was your if you had to pick a favorite win while you were here, what would it be?
Favorite win? It's so many, but I would say Houston, second conference championship, and Dowdy Ficklin.
Okay, that's a good one. Van Eskridge with the pick.
Yeah, like you're saying, Kyle, that's of course on Pirate Radio's open now for PRL. They have an excellent montage and that call by Ron Franklin, who ironically also called the Peach Bowl in 1991. Tremendous job. So just love that call, and just a tremendous game, even though there was that quick turnaround. And I guess you only had that week to plan for it, obviously, because of the victory over Southern Miss clinched our berth in it. It wasn't necessarily one of the bigger crowds. I think there was like 35,000, but it was loud.
Cold and wet. And, those of us that were there, as I'm sure Leonard can attest to on the field, those of us that were there were loud, even though it wasn't sold out.
Oh, yeah.
Leonard, sorry, go ahead. There's a little bit of a lag.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was going to ask you about your redshirt junior season. I know we talked about it pre-show. Not very often does this happen, but you had the opportunity at Bank of America Stadium to play against the South Carolina Gamecocks, which included your brother, Rodney Paulk, that we already mentioned earlier on. I think that year was he a 6-year senior at South Carolina? Is that right?
Yes, sir. He tore his ACL back-to-back years, so he was actually granted a 6th year.
So he was playing linebacker for the Gamecocks and Coach Spurrier. Just talk about that unique experience, not only having the opportunity to play against your brother, but in such a tremendous venue.
Like I said, before I talk about that one, I got to give some pre-background. Actually, going to that first year, that summer, things happened with Emmanuel Davis. I had to step up and start that game. I was there, my first collegiate start. I was nervous. I knew a lot of players on their team. I knew my brother, so we used to go out there before the games, get a little warm-up in. And he looked at me and told me, they put their pads on just like you do. You're built to be here. You're born to be here. Capitalize on your opportunities. Had a little emotional moment with him, but he pretty much embraced me. Just go out there and play football. They play just like you do. So I was able to put that in the back of my mind, just go out there and play a great game. Sadly, we had a competition going that time. I had dreads. He had dreads. So the bet was If we win, you cut your dreads. If y'all win, I cut mine. So halftime, I'm up. Like, okay, we're great. I'm gonna be able to keep my dreads. It's gonna be a great game out here playing good. And then game of 2 halves. They either come back and beat us, which is very hurtful. That's why I think Steven Garcia came back in and threw a great game, and they end up coming out with victory. So goodbye, dreads.
There we go. A question for you from Bear. And he said, "Who was the most athletic Paulk brother?"
He was. My little brother was the most athletic due to the fact that me and my older brother played defense. He played offense, running back. His division was phenomenal, especially watching him in high school. He was the ball boy. When me and my older brother went to the state championship when we was in high school. So he was able to see us and see our mistakes, and he actually stayed healthy his whole career. He started at North Greenville, did a couple years down there. Then he transferred to South Carolina, earned a scholarship, earned some playing time. So he was the most athletic. My little brother did a phenomenal job actually going through school. He's actually a manager of Enterprise now. He had, I think, 4 promotions in 3 years in Enterprise. So I'm actually proud of him outside of football, but in football as well, he's the most athletic one.
So both your brothers went to South Carolina to Gamecocks, and you're a Pirate. Maybe in September we renew the rivalry with the Gamecocks. How does that go between you three?
Oh, it'll go wonderful, but hopefully ECU be able to pull one out now, so we'll just wait and see, with all this COVID stuff going on right now, everybody's pretty much in limbo, just pretty much waiting and seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah, when I think back to that 2011 South Carolina game, I think about the tremendous game that Lewis had. He made some unbelievable catches against the Gamecock secondary.
Oh yeah, Lance Lewis.
Lance,
yeah, came in from junior college, lit it up. He was a big blessing to our team as well, giving Dominique somebody else to throw to. Justin Hardy went off. Andrew Bodenheimer went off. I think Danny Webster played that game. I'm not, but a lot of offensive players stepped up that game. Yeah. We was able to play against an SEC school. Pretty much let them know we're not the little brothers of the Carolina, but we can actually step up and play those big games as well, especially against big SEC school like South Carolina.
Since we're talking about the 2011 season of that South Carolina game, I'm gonna move ahead a week. The very next week, I believe it was the very next week. Correct me if I'm wrong. We hosted UAB in Greenville. I've never seen a team play so poorly on offense and win a game as we did against UAB. We turned the ball over 7 times in that game?
Oh yeah. It was still riding high, emotion still high from South Carolina game, but like I said, when you get back home, things got to calm back down. We got to learn how to play with a short-term memory. Yes, it didn't go well, but rebound, dust yourself off, keep fighting again. So yeah, we played. Thank God we was able to pull it out too.
Yeah, talk about the pressure though, being on the defensive side of the ball to have to, 7 turnovers. That means you're giving them extra possessions. I mean, talk about the pressure that put on the defense and how you guys managed to win that game.
I wouldn't call it pressure. I would think it's an opportunity for us to, okay, if one side of the ball isn't functioning right now, it's up to the other side of the ball to step up. There's been plenty of games where the defense wasn't holding their own. The offense stepped up and took care of us. It was just one of those times that we actually had to take care of the offense. And when they got back rolling, they did. But being able to defensive side, we looking for the next opportunity to make plays. If offense down, let's defense score a touchdown. Let's defense go out there and shut them down to give opportunity to the offense again. So we was able to counter. We were able to capitalize on opportunities whenever we got a chance to touch the field.
I know we touched on the Navy and Houston games of that 2012 season, but just talk about after your first 4 years in the program, like we've already discussed, a lot of your time had been on special teams. You had seen that start against South Carolina, and you'd seen some other playing time on defense, but very few starts. But then in 2012, there toward the middle of the year, you started, I think, 7 games in a row. So just talk about your persistence and just sticking with it. How it paid off.
Like I say, my senior year, first day of camp, that's when they told me I broke my kneecap. I was going 1-on-ones, knee didn't feel right, so they told me to sit down, straight leg cast for all of camp, and they gave me an option. They said, "Well, we can do surgery, put 3 screws in your knee, or if you play, you risk the fact that top of your kneecap and going to your thigh, and it'll just be separated. So I asked them, I said, do I get a red shirt year? They said no. I said, well, I guess I'm going to have to play with it. I don't want to live my life if I woulda, coulda, shoulda, especially my senior year. So I decided to play. Like I said, I missed the first game against App State. I played the second game versus South Carolina. My knee swelled up like a grapefruit. I think I played a little bit the third game versus Carolina, and I played a little bit for Southern Miss the fourth game. But then after that, I made up my mind I have to do things to rehab myself. I'm looking up different calcium to build, strengthen my knee. But pretty much it was a mentality that I had to play with that, this is your senior year. This is your last go around, your last hoorah with your fellow brothers. What do you want to do? Don't want to sit on the sideline and cheer, which is okay, but I actually want to go out there and contribute as well because this is my last go around.
What do you remember about that?
You got to fight, sir.
Yeah. Oh, finish your thought. I don't want to interrupt you.
I just learned you got to capitalize on your opportunities. Because like my last go around, you got to end with a bang.
What do you remember about that crazy Marshall game in 2012? That was one of the most entertaining football games I've ever seen in my life.
I had a bad game that game. I had a bad game. Senior night, emotions were high. I remember the end zone. I think Aaron Dobson got one over me that game. Pretty much had to bounce back. But that was a very crazy game. Being able to play against Cato and Aaron Dobson. I think he went on to play with the Patriots. But being able to, it was emotional for the seniors that game. But at the same time, we had a job to do. So after the emotions get all leveled out, go back and just play football. That's why we was there.
And Leonard, you talk about Aaron Dobson. I guess it was that 2011 game. You probably remember it, Kyle. The catch that he had in the corner of the end zone, the way his arm was twisted, it was just unbelievable. And it was one of the top catches, if not the play of the day on ESPN. But when I think of Aaron Dobson, I think of that play. So, Leonard, just talk about in the pre-show, we talked about Donnie Kirkpatrick, Steve Shankweiler, Trip Weaver, three guys which you're very familiar with, being with the Pirate program right now. And so just talk about those three guys and just how you feel about Pirate football moving forward under Coach Houston.
I'm looking forward to it. Coach Houston got a good resume come from what school he came from. It doesn't matter because he's a Pirate.
James Madison.
Yeah, but he's a Pirate now, so we're glad to have him here. Trip Weaver, he was actually a graduate assistant when I was playing my senior year, so he has a lot of knowledge. He learned from Rick Smith and Brian Mitchell, and being able to have DK back. He's a great offensive mind. He learned a lot from Lincoln Riley. He learned from Skip Holtz and Tom Fitch when Skip Holtz is here, so he has a lot of knowledge. We're just looking to get them back in pads and get them to playing this year. I think last year was the first year they learned his system, but this year I think they have the offseason to work on it. And looking forward to this year, if they play, it's going to be phenomenal because Coach Houston has a winning mentality. He doesn't take no nonsense. So looking forward to seeing them in action this year.
Hey, I got an interesting question for you real fast. Do you remember meeting Holton when he was a kid?
I remember that. I remember them talking about a young man who was going to change Pirate football if he got, because I think his dad was a sports announcer.
Yeah, PA.
So I remember he got a crazy arm. He could run, but I didn't have the opportunity to play with him. I did coach a young man named Keziah Everett at Farmville, and he came in with CJ Johnson. So I was actually to meet him then. But I heard a lot of things about Holt Ayers growing up, being in Greenville, going through playing baseball, things like that, and then him being a standout athlete at D.H. Conley, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, as far as Holton's concerned, obviously it's awesome to see a hometown kid like that staying and making such a big impact for the Pirates. But a guy I wanted to ask you about is a North Carolina kid, but more from the western part of the state, out my way, actually in the town where I grew up in the Louisville Clemens area, Jaquan McMillan, who's a tremendous cornerback for the Pirates. And I know you're still right there in Greenville, Leonard, which we'll talk about more in a moment as far as everything that's going on with your life now. But what are your thoughts as far as Jaquan McMillan and some of the plays that you saw him make during the 2019 season?
I feel like competition brings out the best in everybody. It lets you know that nobody can be relaxed. because like I say, there's always somebody out there willing to play as well once your job. So I think competition bring out the best in everybody with McMillan and Holt in there. I think it's going to be a great turnout competition-wise to see who's going to be able to be the starting quarterback this year.
Absolutely. In addition to Jaquan McMillan, you have grad transfer coming in, Nigel Nod out of Alabama. So the defensive secondary is certainly looking to be much improved, no doubt about it. I have a question for you here. So did you learn anything from playing football that you've applied to your life?
Be on time. Capitalize on your opportunities. At work now, capitalize on my opportunities. I was a teacher in Farmville. When an opportunity came up, I'm now an education director for the Boys and Girls Club. So I would say capitalize on opportunity, get places early, don't be late nowhere. Because like I say, in football, you late, you pretty much lost your job. Capitalize on opportunities, don't be late, and have fun. Because like I say, time is short.
You talk about that experience in Farmville. You said you coached at Farmville Central or Coach Keziah Everett. And I know you said that you were a PE teacher on the elementary level for 6 years. So bring Pirate Nation up to speed, everything that's been going on in your life over these last 7 or 8 years.
Last 7 years since I graduated, like I said, I coached high school football in Farmville, North Carolina. Had some great years down there, coaching with Scott Gardner, coached down there with him. Sent a lot of players to college. Edward Davis played linebacker for App State. I think he finished at East Tennessee State. E.J. Scott played for App State. Kayshawn Baker, he actually playing right now for A&T. And like Keziah Everett right now playing for ECU defensive lineman. I left last year. I'm an education director now for the Boys and Girls Club of the Coastal Plain, having a phenomenal time with them. I'm a liaison between the Boys and Girls Club in Pitt County Schools and Lenoir County Schools. My job now, I go to schools and find out what they're learning in schools and be able to take it back to the Boys and Girls Club and have a little bit of fun with it. I got married in 2016. I got a baby girl right now, Olivia. She turned 1 in May, and my son is set to be born in September 14th. So looking forward to that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Congratulations. And we appreciate everything that you're doing for the youth there in Eastern North Carolina. We've certainly enjoyed the conversation, and we'd love to have you back on sometime down the road when we actually have some football being played. Maybe you can join us one week for our Pirate football playback where we take an in-depth look at the game.
Yes, sir. Just let me know. I'm always there for you. Anything Pirate Nation.
Absolutely. Pirate Nation, that is Leonard Paulk, a former East Carolina defensive back and special team standout from 2008 to 2012. Remember to join us tomorrow. We'll catch up with Trent Tigner, former East Carolina punter. That will be at 9 a.m. And then at noon tomorrow, special surprise for you. We will be talking to Mike Oresco, the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference. And then tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we'll have Greg Gardell, former Pirate defensive lineman from 1987 to 1991. We really appreciate you tuning in. If you would, give us a follow, like, subscribe wherever you listen, whether it's right here on Facebook, YouTube, you name it. We appreciate you listening to the show, and we will talk to you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a great night, and go Pirates.
Go Pirates.
Thanks, Bubba. Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Leonard.
Yes, sir. Go Pirates.